What is courage? It's an interesting question. And perhaps you have a preconceived idea of what it is. What I've learned about courage is that it's very unique and individual to each person. And what I might think is courageous, or where I shine up and am able to be courageous in my life, may not be where you shine and where you show up and be courageous in your life. So what is courage really? It's something that's within us. It's like this driving force that enables us to step into places of fear and to function really well. Possibly even to excel in whatever we're doing. So let's take a little bit more of a look into what courage is. And I'm going to share a story with you about my personal life and my own journey with courage. Now I'm going to use an example that most of you will be familiar with first, so that we can get an idea around courage. If we talk about public speaking, you have really two sets of people. Those that are terrified by it and those that thrive in it. So really, what separates these two people? In my mind, it's the amount of courage that they have to step up into that space and what their perceived gain is. What do they get out of stepping into those spaces? So let's start with those that are terrified of public speaking. If I think of myself, and public speaking was definitely something I was terrified of at one stage in my life. And as I started to look into the story of that and really get underneath to the layers beneath that story, I saw that I was afraid of being seen. I was afraid of how would I look? What would people think about me? Would they even like what I have to say? What happens if they didn't like what I had to say? And so this whole story and all of these mental processes would spin around in my mind at the thought of public speaking, and it would literally terrify me. It would freeze me in my tracks. I would have this physiological response that was insane. Literally trembling in my boots at the thought of having to talk in public. And as, you know, if I went to a networking breakfast, for example, and it was getting closer and closer to my turn, I'd be freaking out. I wouldn't even be able to hear what anyone else was saying. I wouldn't even be able to listen to their story because I was so focused on my story and what was going on in my head. And when I stood up and I spoke, it was almost like I couldn't recognize myself. Who is that person that just spoke? That was terrible. I love me. Where's me in all of this? And then you have those people that absolutely love public speaking or being on stage or performing. And when you see them, you look at them and you just think, wow, they look like they're shining up there. They look like they're in their element. They just are able to pronounce their words and bring in emotion. And oh my God, it's so cool watching them. And they obviously have got to a place where their story or their energy when they step into that space is more in alignment with themselves, more in alignment with their flow, more in alignment with their heart space. And so they can allow the person who is in them the capacity to be fully them, to show up in that space. They're not limited by the story that's going on in their head. Their story doesn't collapse their energy, make them shrink and feel afraid. It allows them to shine. You know, and many people who shine in that space still have nerves. They still have fear. They still have some times just before they're going on stage where maybe they're freaking out a bit. But as soon as they step into that space, they just shine. And so what is courage? Courage is being able to get past your story that limits you, to shift that story that collapses your energy and be able to thrive and shine in a space. I believe that each one of us has the capacity within us to shine in spaces that we might not believe we can shine in right now. we might feel really afraid to step into doing certain things. So I want to share with you a story about my personal life where I've taken something that many people are absolutely terrified of and might never do in their lives. And I'm by no means encouraging anyone to do it either. But this particular activity that I'm involved in my mind, has really allowed me to focus in on what story happens in my mind and being able to separate that story and really connect to myself, to get to a space where despite the fear, despite the terror, or despite the perceived risk, I'm able to function quite well. So, what is it, you're probably wondering? Well, I'm a base jumper, and for some of you, you may not know what that is, so I'll just give a quick explanation. A base jumper is someone who takes a parachute and puts it on their back, and then they go and stand on the edge of a building, or the edge of a mountain, or on the side of a bridge, on the top of an antenna, and they jump off. They take a leap off the tower, off the bridge, off the side of the building, off the side of the mountain, and they fall, free falling through space for a certain amount of seconds, and then they open their parachute and land on the ground. Now, one of the biggest jumps or conclusions that people jump to is that if I can base jump, then surely I must be courageous enough to do anything in my life. And that's just simply not true. I just shared with you that public speaking was something that terrified me. And there's other things that I am afraid of, where my courage feels diminished. But what I have done through base jumping is to really face my fears, to put myself into a high stress situation and learn more about me, to really connect into my own energy, understand my own energy, meditate, use breathing techniques, use grounding techniques, really pull my energy in and get to a space where I can function. And not function just minimally, because I need to function at an extremely high level to ensure the best possibility of me landing safely at the end of my jump. And so each time I jump, I go through a process of working with my energy, grounding my energy, rehearsing in my mind the best possible outcome for every scenario I can think of for that particular jump. And I always visualize myself landing safely on the ground. I started base jumping in 2004, and so this practice has served me extremely well and has kept me safe. And beyond keeping me safe, it has brought the most amazing enjoyment into my life, the most amazing present moment awareness, more than anything else I've ever experienced to date. And when I went to learn more about public speaking, I used the practices and things I'd learned while base jumping and brought those into the public speaking arena. And I used testing, muscle testing, and connecting into my energy to understand, am I really in danger here? Is there really a risk of me having something terrible that I'm imagining in my mind happen to me? And my answer was always no. And when I connected into the no of that answer, it enabled me to stand up and speak. Now, my first few speeches were probably really terrible, but over a period of time, I have improved and improved. And I'm by no means the best speaker in the world, nor am I probably someone that you might aspire to, wanting to be like with speaking. But I see it as a practice, and I'm getting playful around it, and I'm becoming aware of the story that pops up in my mind when I need to speak. One of the best tips that I found with myself is learning to connect to my heart space, because when I can connect to that heart space, I can really shine and I can show up in the world that's really magical and beautiful, and I emit this energy, this glow of energy into my space, and people respond to that energy. And the results or the feedback that I've received when I can connect to this energy and shine in this way is really magical for me. And it is such a wonderful journey. And so I would encourage you to really take a look at what is courage for you. Now, I don't expect anyone to go out and start base jumping, but just take something in your life that you are afraid of, and take something in your life that you do with no problem, with total ease and conviction, and look at that. What do you do? How do you do it? And allow yourself to bring some of that energy over to the thing that you're afraid of, and use that as a way to catapult you forward on your new journey and getting to yourself to a place where you feel beautifully courageous. I know you can do it. If I can stand up and do public speaking, then you can do whatever it is that you're thinking you're afraid of. It really is just a process, and be gentle with yourself. My journey with the public speaking, I spent a whole year working and refining, and I've spent even more than that after that year just doing videos like this and really connecting into that level of confidence within myself, that ability to shine my courageousness out into the world and be able to share this message and to speak to you like I am today. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be making videos like this, I would have laughed at you, because there was no ways that I would do them. But I'm actually enjoying them now. And why? Because I'm learning and I'm playing and I'm unlocking this courageousness within me, and I'm being able to really connect to my heart space and share from that space, which to me is a gift. And I'm so happy to be able to do that. If you've got anything that you're feeling afraid of, or you're not feeling like you can courageously step into it, then let me know. Perhaps there's a way I can assist you in connecting more to your heart space so that you can step courageously into whatever it is you are feeling drawn to do. Have a beautiful and magical week, everyone. Namaste.